Hello, and thank you for joining our presentation regarding system selection. When selecting a system to put in place for an organization, there are several important factors to consider, which became more apparent in my interview with two industry professionals currently working in healthcare IT. This presentation will explore the who, what, where, why, when, and how in system selection from the perspective of professionals currently working in the field. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to identify key stakeholders in system selection and their roles, determine criteria for system consideration and implementation, describe project management tools, explain how the goals of the organization drive decisions, define barriers to implementation and methods to address them, and explain ongoing maintenance activities after system selection and implementation. Let's get started. Our professionals, Bill and Gary, work as sort of a team for a large healthcare organization in the area. They work very closely with HIM daily to optimize workflows and upgrade system capabilities, which supports access to patient documentation. I was privileged to have the opportunity to interview them and gain their perspective on this topic. Let's dive right into our agenda and talk about our key stakeholders. During system selection, you will have a multidisciplinary team involved, including key leadership stakeholders in business areas and IT. You will also have business operational owners, for example, directors in health information management, a project manager, and a system administrator or builder. This is someone that will have system-specific knowledge. End users are the boots on the ground people, and they too are part of this team. The infrastructure team evaluates the system from a hardware perspective, and the cybersecurity team will take a closer look at the system's security levels. These are usually the most common stakeholders. Put simply, before a system is even considered, the organization will need to determine, do we already have a system in place that fits the need? Or can we do the same thing in another system we already use? If so, this carries more weight than the implementation of a new system. And if a new system is being considered, does it meet the needs of the organization? System selection is very dependent on the organization. Some organizations are very particular about cybersecurity, which is currently the biggest consideration in system selection. Bill and Gary further explain. Over their careers, they have seen trends in issues being popular at certain times. Right now, it's cybersecurity. Something that surprised me is the role of the project manager, who is not the one doing the vetting, but guides the process. The project manager will know when to take the system through architectural, cybersecurity, and application review, and guides the process through red tape and barriers. Each one of those systems, cybersecurity, architectural, and application, will review the system and then produce a report whether the system is valid from their perspective and provide recommendations. From an implementation standpoint, the project manager sets the deadlines that the build teams need to hit to ensure everything is ready for the go-live date. When selecting a project management tool, it's important to select something based on the project at hand. However, the type of tool is not critical. It's more of a housekeeping item. When selecting a project management tool, it's important to select something based on the project you're working on. Depending on scale, certain tools may be more beneficial than others. There are many tools to choose from, and all have their hits and misses. Some are easier to use than others, and some are designed for more complex projects, while some may not be compatible with current systems. For example, this only works on Windows 7. Many times, the projects are smaller, and it's easier to put into an Excel spreadsheet and share it with those involved and place it on an editing platform like Microsoft Teams. The goals of the organization drive system selection in a number of ways. The goals of the organization are a heavy focus in decision-making in system selection. Each year, the organization sets out with a variety of goals. Systems that meet one of the organization's main goals will receive a higher score or recommendation. However, for example, if the system is a risk from a cybersecurity perspective, consideration would stop there. Another aspect to consider is, does the system meet any government or accreditation requirements? New technologies could possibly be considered if the benefit to the patients outweigh the risk. Barriers to successful system selection and implementation could be almost anything. It could be as simple as the time it takes for the infrastructure build to be complete, system compatibility issues, or something as complicated as a cybersecurity concern. Another example could be legality issues with contracts. Bill and Gary have also seen a lot of, but we used to do it this way. Financial barriers are another concern. An ideal product may be out there, but the cost may be out of range or the package required is too expensive. As mentioned, barriers can be almost anything, but what they see frequently are issues with infrastructure, usability barriers, cybersecurity, and system limitations. Bill and Gary recommend taking one barrier at a time. Barriers can go all the way down to the user level, and user adoption can have a major impact. They want to be sure whatever system they bring in will be a long-term solution and will be maintained properly. Short-term fixes don't last and may cause problems with ongoing maintenance. Sometimes barriers can be addressed by systems already in place through the use of additional modules or licensing. Ongoing maintenance activities are always part of system selection and adoption. There will be dedicated IT groups for designated functional areas. In Bill and Gary's instance, a team of 2 supporting just the HIM functional area for the entire organization. A lot of behind-the-scenes activities takes place, and it's almost as if no one knows what we're doing until we stop doing it. They're busy replacing servers when they age, supporting staff needs, and building and rebuilding systems with minimal disruption to the HIM team. Every system has some form of maintenance, whether handled internally or vendor-based. From their perspective, the first concern is, does the system do what you want it to do? Does it do what you want, or are you settling for something that's getting you 50% of the way there? Is the system long in the tooth, or has the system been around a while? Typically, systems that have been around a long time tend to stay around a long time. Does it meet cybersecurity requirements? For example, if you were to ask a vendor when the last time they conducted a penetration test on their system and they looked at you funny, that's a huge red flag. And coming back full circle, does it meet the needs from the perspective of key stakeholders? Is it usable? Is it well maintained? Is it secure? And does it have longevity? Thank you for joining our presentation today. Now you know what it takes to determine criteria for system consideration and implementation. You can describe project management tools and explain how the goals of the organization drive decisions. Special thanks to Bill and Gary for taking the time to share their decades of experience so we may all benefit from their expertise. Thank you.